7-10, 7-10 record team is down to number 29 just in one offseason. But it is obviously the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, I mean, they had their highs and their lows, and I mean, I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better for this team. We know that what they were able to do under Mike McDaniel, and I thought they did a lot better. Excuse me. They did a lot better than, what we would have thought they were going to do once the wheels started to fall off. I mean, Mike McDaniel did keep them playing and keep them close in games. So I'm curious to see where they go from here. It's going to be a complete rebuild, and they're going to have a lot of dead cap, is the synopsis of it. But like I said, last year they were 7-10, but Vegas currently has them at an over-under of 4.5 wins. They have the worst odds to be the Super Bowl champs at plus 30,000. They're last in the conference at plus 15,000, and they're last in the AFC East to win it at plus 3,000. A trend that I have here is that the bottom 4 teams are currently all AFC teams. I'm sure we'll have some NFC next week. The bottom 6 cannot all be AFC. New head coach this year is Jeff Hafley. In Green Bay, he was the defensive coordinator for 2 years, where he was just 21st in EPA allowed per play, so not the best amongst defenses in NFL. Miami was 24th in EPA allowed per play, 24th versus the pass, and 25th versus the run. They do bring in Bobby Slowick, who, now that C.J. Stroud looked terrible in the playoffs last year, how much of that was on Slowick versus C.J. Stroud? When you look at Slowick, he was 12th and 22nd in yards per game rank for the Houston Texans in those 2 years. Points, he was 13th and 19th. The Dolphins last year were 25th in EPA per play, 22nd in the pass, 25th in the run. Surprisingly, fifth best, I say surprisingly, but they had the 5th best quarterback pressure rate allowed last year, and that was a lot to do with the fact that this offense was predicated on the quick game. Get the ball in, get the ball out, snap. Tua knew where he was going with the ball, and that was that. Defense coordinator is Sean Dugan. I mean, it's going to be Jeff Hafley, honestly, but Dugan was the linebacker coach in Green Bay. And you look at what he did with the likes of Quay Walker and his resurgence over the last year or two. So when you look at the strengths and weaknesses of this team, let's bring up their roster. So looking at their roster, again, the green names are players that are free agents going into the 2026 offseason. They are likely losing. These are players that are free agents. They can try to bring them back, but we know how that works. They are likely losing Darren Waller, who had some highs. Cole Strange at right guard. Excuse me. Tyreek Hill is already out. They released him. He's out. He was coming back from injury. Anyways, they are also losing Ashton Davis. Bradley Chubb has already also been cut. I thought that said Jalen Phillips, but that says Jordan Phillips. My bad. Bradley Chubb, I think he had 8.5 sacks last year, so they're already starting the rebuild. They do still have some firepower on that defensive line for sure, but they have a lot of holes on this team. The strengths on this team would be the likes of Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane. I mean, these two, you could get better, but they were pretty good. Not the greatest, but Achane's a top 5 running back, arguably. Jalen Waddle accounted for 43% of the Dolphins' air yards last year, and no other player had more than 15%. It jumped up to 51% after week 5 whenever Tyreek Hill was injured. Achane, his numbers have just gotten better each year. He went from 800 to 907 to 1350 rush yards in 2025. His yards per carry got higher and higher. He had a rush EPA that improved as the season went on. He was such a weapon out of the backfield as well. The front 4 on the defensive side, let's go back to Aaron Brewer. Aaron Brewer, 9th best interior offensive lineman as far as pass block win rate in the NFL. Front 4, I thought was great. but everything was 16th or worse. So, I mean, they have to do some things to make it better, but they could, I do believe. We're going to see what they can do as all my notes disappeared. That's interesting. Very good. Well, we'll just talk about everything on the fly now. The weaknesses for this team. Boy, did they have some weaknesses. They are losing a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback now. You don't want to go with Quinn Ewers. Why is this not coming up? Whatever. You don't want to go with Quinn Ewers. He had limited time last year, and it was not the best as far as quarterback play goes. They're losing Tyreek Hill. They're losing their weapons. What's this? Let's see. Try one more thing. Let's just get out of it altogether. They're losing their weapons. Their offensive line, you can say it was good, but I mean, a lot of that was predicated on the fact that the offense ran through Mike McDaniel and what he knew to do to get the most out of it. Now that they're going to be moving at a slower pace, probably with Bobby Slowick, it's not as much of a quick game as what they had with Tua and Mike McDaniel. I'm interested to see how it's going to work and what they're going to do with quarterback. They do have Jalen Waddle, but they don't really have any receiving weapons outside of that. They have Malik Washington, who was okay at times. Devon Achane is their second best pass catcher. They don't have a tight end on the roster. Julian Hill, Jalen Conyers. I don't even know who Jalen Conyers is. But we will see what they can do as far as the offense in 2026. When you look at the defense was absolutely terrible. The secondary was one of the worst, if not the worst, in the NFL. Jesus. This defense struggled to stop a nosebleed for the majority of the season. When you look at their advanced numbers, let's see, you can slice it just about any way, and it wasn't really that good at all. As far as EPA allowed per play, like I said earlier, they were ninth worst against the pass. They were worse than this at some point, but they ended up finished eighth worst. Quarterback pressure rate, they finished the season at the seventh worst quarterback pressure rate team. I mean, there was nothing that was just absolutely great about this team, and it showed for the most part. As far as explosive runs allowed, they had the seventh most with 60 of them. I mean, it was just any way you sliced it, they were bad. They're losing some players, especially on the back end of that defense. If you had to pick a high point of this team, it was Jordan Brooks because he led the NFL in tackles last year. Zach Sealer's still there, solid interior or rush defensive end. Kenneth Grant didn't really play that great to be a first-round pick last year. They also have Chop Robinson, who can get after the quarterback as well. When you look at their offensive and defensive line as a whole, though, as far as the offensive line, their pass block win rate was just 59%, the eighth worst in the NFL, and their run block win rate, third worst in the NFL. As far as the defensive line, they were 23rd against as far as pass rush win rate and 21st as far as run stuff win rate. I mean, it's just not good any way you slice it. So when you look at what they can add in the offseason, I mean, obviously they have no cap space. They're currently -4. They're $4 million over the cap right now, and they still have to restructure some of these contracts. What's going to happen with Tua? They already got rid of Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. So, like I said, this is a real rebuild team. And the other problem with this is that when you look at draft capital for this team, they say it's a problem, but they have the sixth highest amount of draft capital based on Harvard's numbers for the draft. So they really need to hit in the draft. But like I said, they're really not going to be spending in free agency. We all know that. So when you look at their mock draft that I did for them, they have the 11th overall pick, and I had them taking a cornerback out of LSU with their first round pick. They have so many holes, but that secondary was just so god-awful. There's not going to be a quarterback at 11. So obviously they're not going Ty Simpson at 11. So you take best player available. I mean, even though he doesn't have elite length or athletic upside, he's fluid to open and has enough speed to stay in phase against whether it's vertical or in breaking routes. Like he can do both. It's easy to project him as a starter regardless of scheme or alignment. I think you go with the sure thing, and at 11, I think he will be the sure thing. He allowed 0 touchdowns and committed 0 penalties in all of 2025. In the second round at 43, they do need wide receiver help, like I spoke on earlier. I have them taking Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana, the national champion. He has above average strength, athletic freak at times. I mean, and he's always competitive at the catch point. His run after catch skills will help separate him on draft day, honestly, is what I see from him. And they need someone to kind of replace that Tyreek role and what they had and what they're losing with him. Third round, AJ Hawsey, safety out of LSU. He is Mr. Gimme That in high school because of his high rate of turnovers that he caused. They need some turnover luck in 2026 if they're going to be in some of these games. 87th pick, offensive line. They got to replace some of these issues that they're having. Connor Lew out of Auburn. 90th overall pick, 3 picks later. Like I said, they don't have a tight end that anyone knows on this roster. So if they don't sign someone in free agency, what are they going to do? They have Max Clare, tight end out of Ohio State. I don't know if he's going to last to pick number 90. I mean, he's a solid athlete. And, I mean, we saw what these tight ends have done in the past year with Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin Jr., and Colston Loveland all coming in and being top 10 tight ends by the end of the season. With their 111th pick, I have Devin Moore, who is a top 100 talent on a lot of draft boards, and I got him at 111 in this. He's impressive as far as size, speed goes amongst his athletic counterparts. He didn't have the college career many expected, but again, the secondary was so terrible. You still want to give him, you don't want to get more throws at the dartboard with cornerback, in my opinion. And then I have it finishing up, taking another defensive lineman and taking a flyer on a quarterback. We saw what Brock Purdy did. Can they do something with Taylor Green out of Arkansas? So we'll see if those actually hit. As far as free agency, they have to rework this cap first before they can sign literally anyone. Because like I said, right now they're currently $4 million over, and they have $74 million in dead cap, and that's mostly due to Tyreek, Jalen Ramsey, Teron Armstead. I mean, this team is in cap hell. Their biggest contracts they still have a $212 million contract, average $53 million a year. And then they have the likes of Waddle at 28 on average salary. Zach Sealer is third at 21. Then you have Minka and not Bradley Chubb, sorry. Misspoke. Austin Jackson after that at $12 million. So when you get to the schedule of this team, like I said, we know the home games and the away games. We don't know when they play them. So when you do a very topical look, they play the Bills and the Patriots both twice. They're going to be hard-pressed to win any of those 4 games. Let's say they take one of the 4, though. Then they play the Jets twice. They could potentially win both of those. Other home games they have are against the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bears, the Lions, and the Bengals. It's going to be hard to get any of those wins, potentially get a win against the Bengals. But when you go to their away schedule, they play the Raiders, potential win. Vikings, you never know what you're going to get out of them. The Packers, the Colts, who don't have a quarterback because Daniel Jones has a torn Achilles, the Broncos, and the Niners. So not the easiest schedule for the Miami Dolphins in 2026. So you could roughly see 5 or 6 wins off of that roster. I mean, off of that schedule right there. When you look at MVP odds, Quinn Ewers at plus 50,000 is their MVP favorite. Their most improved player, I mean, if they don't take a quarterback, probably has to be Quinn Ewers. But the defense as a whole, especially the secondary, it's the same issues that I've talked about time and again. They just have to improve as a unit, not as one player. Drop-off candidates, I mean, do they have anyone that could potentially drop off? Not necessarily. Achane, just because his usage was so high, potentially he takes a step back as far as what his numbers look like in 2025. And outside of that, I don't really see anyone. X factors, Jeff Hafley and this defense. Can he bring this defensive mindset that he brought from Boston College up to Green Bay and back down south now to Miami? Can he do something with this defense to make them the 20th best unit in the NFL? Outside of him, the DB room improvement, honestly, that's if we're ignoring the quarterback as far as X factors go. So as far as outlooks for this team, I mean, they have best case scenario. They're working through their cap woes no matter what. They somehow find a quarterback of the future, whether that's Quinn Ewers or take a day 3 pick potentially. I don't think they go above that with a quarterback. I mean, do they sign Malik Willis in free agency? They have to do some miracles as far as cap goes as of right now. And they could finish around 7-10 with a defense that looks young, that won't be great, but won't be such a detriment to this team. Achane is still great. They still have weapons between he and Jalen Waddle, and they're able to get 7 wins again, but in a different way than what they've done in years past. Will this be the Hall of Fame game in August? What, Dolphins at Raiders? I have no idea. Raider Nation, good vibes only. You just missed it. If you want to hear my complete breakdown of the Raiders, go check it out on YouTube at King NFL Stats. It'll be up probably tomorrow. Worst case scenario for the Dolphins is they still don't have a quarterback, which I think is very realistic. They stay in cap hell. The defense is just too bad. They're trying to recover from the Mike McDaniel era, and they go from 7 wins down to like 4 or so. But my realistic expectation for this team is that Hafley can improve the defense somewhat. They get a quarterback to build around. The defense is around 24th overall. Achane is still the focal point, and they go 5-12, 6-11. I think that's potential for this team. Les says, I'm glad that the Chargers got Mike McDaniel. Yeah, I'm curious to see what he's going to be able to do. They go from Greg Roman, one of the worst offensive coordinators over the past decade, to Mike McDaniel, one of the greatest offensive minds. Raiders win 4 or 5 games next year. Yeah, their current over-under is 5.5, and I have them going 5-12, just as a topical quick overview of their schedule for 2026. Clint Kubiak will have a pretty decent offense on his hands. Yes, if they can improve that offensive line, Mendoza is semi-reasonably good as a quarterback. I mean, they still have Genty. They have Brock Bowers. They have Trey Tucker, who is emerging as a pass catcher last year, especially after the departure of Jacoby Myers. So the offense definitely has some potential. It's going to depend a lot on Kubiak and Ashton Genty and what they can do with that run game. But so that's it for this week's episode. We currently are up to 4 teams being ranked so far. And we have the Jets at 32, the Titans at 31, the Raiders at 30, and the Dolphins at 29. A 7-10 team dropping all the way to 29. They are in quite a bad situation right now. 74 million dead cap. So we'll see what they do going forward. But they have a big hole to climb out of. Next week, we will do 28 and 27. Hopefully, we'll get some NFC teams in here. We have 4 AFC teams right now as the 4 worst teams in the NFL. But if you don't already, please follow all social media platforms at King NFL Stats to keep up with all statistics on all 32 teams. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Catch you next week.